Thank you for coming out in such large numbers this afternoon to remember Savita Halappanavar, who died at the end of October after being repeatedly denied an abortion in this country. I think the fact that so many people have come out during the week on Wednesday when we learned about her death, and then again today, just shows the anger and outrage in this country at the way another woman has been treated. The anger extends, I think, beyond Ireland. We've heard about protests right across Europe, North America and Asia. Millions of people around the world are rightly outraged at the way a woman has been treated in the 21st century. And unfortunately, Savita is not the only woman to die or the only woman to suffer because of the draconian abortion laws in this country. For more than 20 years, we have seen political cowardice and inaction on this issue. Time and time again, there have been repeated calls for action, and yet these calls have fallen on the deaf ears of our politicians and our legislators. And I think the fact that so many of us are here today is because the theme of this march is never again. Never again will a woman be allowed to die. Never again will a rape victim have to be dragged through the Irish court system to see her rights vindicated. And we also know that this is only part of the story. The fact is that 12 women every single day, our sisters, our wives, our mothers, our friends, our colleagues, every single day are forced to leave this country under a veil of shame, as if they are criminals in their own country. And I think when we're fighting for the rights of Savita and other women, we're also fighting for their rights. And I also want to pay tribute to her husband, Praveen, because I think it just shows what a courageous man he is, that in the midst of all his grief and his loss, that he chose to tell his story so that another woman would not have to die. And while I think we are here to mourn Savita's loss, and to remember her, I think we also have an obligation to take a lead from Praveen's bravery and to join and to campaign so that her sacrifice, her death, will not be in vain. So we're going to get started very shortly, because we'd like to be at the Dail at 5:20, because right around the country there are gatherings like this today, and there will be a coordinated moment of silence at 5:20. But just to get things started, I'd like to introduce Councillor Ruth Coppinger from the Socialist Party.
People have the right to lose a life.
Friends, we're here today in huge numbers to show, as Sinead said, our solidarity with the family and the friends of Savita. And we want to send a message to her family that you have huge support here in Ireland. Absolutely massive support. Praveen, Savita's husband, has expressed his intention to return to this country to get answers for his wife's death. And we would like to say to him that we fully support your right to have those answers, and that whatever was done or is being done is not being done in the name of the ordinary people of Ireland, we can tell you. We never ever want this to happen again. On Monday night, independent of this happening, myself and the Socialist Party had a motion down on Fingal County Council for legislation for the X case. 11 councillors absented themselves for that vote. And I think that says it all about the cowardice and the political inaction of the politicians in this country for the last 20 years. To them it was a non-issue. 24 hours later, the country was spilling over in anger and grief.
Shame on them. Shame.
Absolute shame. But I've learned something since Savita's death, that motion that I put and that the X case is absolutely not enough, because it would not have guaranteed that Savita would have got the treatment that she needed. We need far, far more, because what happens with the X case is that the life of the woman is pitted against her health. And you would still have, even with legislation for X, doctors having to gamble in this grey area of when the life of a woman and when the health of a woman suddenly endangers her life. And are we saying that there's an acceptable threshold of pain, suffering and torture that we're willing to put women through before their lives are deemed to be in danger? I don't think that that's the mood of the people here or the mood of the people in this country. I think what Savita was subjected to, if it was an animal, quite rightly animal rights groups would be objecting. But because she's a woman, it's deemed to be okay. That we must wait until we're sure there's a real and substantial risk to her life. Absolutely not. X is not enough. We have to go beyond it. Ordinary people in this country want change. That's been absolutely demonstrated this week. And I would say that when we get to the Dáil, I put this to the politicians. Could a bill be brought to the Dáil in the next week or two, which recognised that the health of the woman and the life of the woman are absolutely interlinked and should be legislated for? So, by the way, should a rape victim or an incest victim be entitled to an abortion in this country? That's what X was all about. That wouldn't be covered necessarily by legislation if we allowed it to be so minimal. Now, I think the ULA would support that. I hope Sinn Féin would support it. And I'm asking the question here today, would the Labour Party support it? And if they would, I think the ordinary people of this country would get behind them. And in fact, we're not asking them to be brave. We're just asking them to reflect the wishes of the ordinary people of this country. That's all. Finally, I would appeal to people, please stay active on this issue. The only way that there was change brought in on abortion information, the right to travel, was ordinary people taken to the streets, schoolgirls, mothers, fathers, etc., in their thousands. We need a separation of church and state in this country. No Catholic ethos. No Catholic ethos should prevent a woman getting necessary treatment for her health and her life. We need Catholic patrons off the boards of our hospitals. What's the Archbishop of Dublin doing as chairman of the board of Holles Street National Maternity Hospital? What qualifications does a bishop have in gynecology to be holding such a position? Finally, I'd say on Wednesday we will be back at the Dáil, gathering, I don't know, we'll announce a time by the end of this, to march to the Dáil, demanding action. Never again. We will not keep waiting another 20 years for justice.